Here from Las Vegas quarantine, it's Alyssa,
Nick and Audrie, IE.
And you're listening to the Stretch It Out podcast, my dudes.
Oh, I love it.
That was awesome, right?
My dudes. I wasn't sure which one you were going to go with.
Always keeping it interesting. Always keeping it interesting.
Keeping me on my toes.
That's how I roll. What is up, everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
This is by far going to be one of my most favorite episodes.
You say that, kind of putting the bar up there.
I know. Yet to come.
Okay, all right.
I wish we could have done like a Disney intro, but of course, Disney would have came after us with the copyrights or something.
They never would have known, because I don't think either of our
listeners.
Yeah. Actually, Courtney said we got to stop doing that. She was like, "You can't say that." She's like, "You have more." She's like, "You give your third listener some credit." So I was like, "All right." So shout out to you, Courtney. Oh, my humor is so bad sometimes. It's so bad.
Well, at least we know now for sure we actually do have a total of 4 or 5, because you got Nick and Audrie, you know? You got Alyssa.
We got awesome listeners, and you know, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of our listeners.
Exactly.
That's what makes it special. That's what makes this important. We're in podcast land together, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in podcast land together.
This is the fastest we've gotten to podcast land.
It was.
This was like...
And
boom,
again,
boom.
because I stopped you from telling me all of the stuff that you need to tell me in the podcast, and then pressing record and then doing it all.
Like, I'm still writing some of it in the doc. No, it's going to come. Oh, it's going to be great.
So, yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today, because it's a cool little departure. It's going to be fun to kind of go down memory lane with you from your perspective, right? Because like we were talking, exactly. Well, we were talking before the podcast, and I had to cut you off, but it was even that is a perfect example, because you were like, "Well, I was probably asleep by that time," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, that's right. Like I'm a little bit older than you, so it was probably totally different, your memories than mine, but we were still, you know, we still have the same memories, which is weird, right? We're still remembering the same thing, but through different lenses and different perspectives. So it's pretty cool. And we're calling it Grinning Ghosts, which I think is cool.
Come out to socialize.
Yeah, I think it's fitting. So, not sure that that's going to help us on Google search, but.
And that's how Disney would find us.
Yeah, exactly. There. Look at these guys using our music and stuff. Would have been legit, though, to use the music. That would have been super cool. And maybe we can, and we're just like super paranoid, but whatever. So anyways, if you're new here, my name's Nick Stretch. This is my baby sister, Audrie.
But I'm Big Audrie, just so you guys know.
Yeah, she's Big Audrie,
I'm Big Audrie
because we have a niece named Audrie, i.e. you heard her in the intro.
Yeah, that was her.
Yep. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the fam, Alyssa, Audrie, Zegan.
Got the McGee family.
Way to go. Yep. Shout out to the McGee family. Sending us a sweet intro for what is to be Audrie's favorite episode. So it's a pretty big deal.
So far.
Pretty big deal. And we're going to talk about Disneyland. I mean, who doesn't like Disneyland? Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of adults that like hate it. They're like, I hate going to Disneyland and Disney World because I hate walking around everywhere and blah, blah, blah. And that's what they sound like, I think. But
it's all,
I enjoy it.
They got kids, and it could be stressful sometimes throughout the day with the kiddos, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. And me and Courtney, same thing. We love it, but it is important that we throw some breaks in there when we go, right? We're not gonna go to the park 8 hours a day right? We throw some breaks in there. We kind of chop it up a little.
It's like literally making your kids work for 8 hours if you think about it. Like just doing an 8-hour straight marathon of walking and then standing.
Yeah, and then they're like, no, I want you to stay awake to watch this fireworks show that I paid, $3,000 for everybody to see. And you're like, I'm too tired. I'm going to sleep. Right? I just finished up my 6th sugar crash off of a sugar high for the day. Like I've got nothing left and I'm not going to be able to watch the fireworks. So.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, I don't have any kids, but even when I go to Disneyland, right about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'll just get real quiet and I just want to sit down in the shade somewhere. And I'm completely fine with just silence, not talking to anybody, just sitting there for 30 minutes. Unless if we're in Disneyland, then my favorite spot obviously is Mickey's movie theater because it's nice and cool. It's quiet. It's got classical music playing, and you just sit down and relax for 30 minutes. I think I've fallen asleep in there a few times.
Yeah, it's insane how much of our lives we spent at Disneyland growing up. I think it really is. I think even if we lived right next door to the place, we probably wouldn't have gone as much as we did growing up. Seriously, it was insane. But
this year, right? Or sorry, last year is the very first year that I have never had that I have not had a Disney annual pass.
Wow, that's a crying shame.
I know.
That's a crying shame. We're gonna fix that.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to go to Disney World get everybody out there, the whole family. Like I'm talking Uncle Norm, Uncle Jimmy, right?
Oh God,
Aunt Betty, Aunt Donna. Yeah, but
but it's
Aunt
adult chaos now.
Oh man, it would be great though to have a family reunion there. If we could do it right, if we could get a week there and get the whole family there, that would be the ultimate. That would be us really kind of doing probably what Mom would have planned, and she's still been alive. She would have made that happen. She would have been able to get everybody together because she was the
one who was able to gather everybody to get everyone's buy-in to be like, okay, Melody said we're gonna go, so we're gonna go. That's
she could make that happen. And how cool would that be if we could figure out how to pull that off? If we could figure out how to get the whole family to Disneyland or to Disney World for a week for a legit family reunion. You know what though? It's going to be insane when this whole COVID-19 thing is over because everyone's going to want to be going to Disney World or Disneyland or somewhere. But my point is we can still put it on the map, right? We can still put a pin in it somewhere and go here's when we're going 2022, right? And do a huge family reunion and make a big deal about it. I could have shirts made, you know what I mean? For the whole family. So we could be super nerdy. It would be cool.
Who's going to carry around the flag?
I know that. I don't even know if they'd let us do that.
People are going to come up to us thinking we're the tour guides.
Yeah. We would probably be really good at that because we have Japanese in us.
You're right.
So
this episode has now turned us into planning a family reunion to Disney World, guys. Just so you know.
I think it should happen. I'd love to make it happen.
I would love to make it happen too. That would be
get the whole family
a lot of fun. Yeah. You could just rent a house, a big mansion. Everybody staying there.
Yeah, man, I would love it. Love it. But two of my favorite quotes from Disney.
Oh, you had 2 quotes too?
Oh, sorry, that's yours. You wrote over mine. Oh no, you didn't. I just read over it. I'm going to start with my favorite quote, and then you share your 2 quotes. I totally read the next line on our Google Doc. We're going to have to share this Google Doc with everybody one day so they go, oh, that's why they sound so confused all the time. It's super sloppy. No, it's not that bad. My favorite quote from Walt Disney: if you've done your very best, worrying about it won't make it any better.
100%. I
like that one.
We should use that on every podcast when we talk about stress, or every episode when we talk about stress.
Yeah. Well, I love it because think about the stress that he went through, right? The things putting together, putting years and years and years into something and then going, okay, I'm going to present it to the world. And I've put everything into this. I mean, could you imagine what that would feel like? it's
And
not like it was a sure thing. You know what I mean? Especially not back then. It's not like it was like, oh yeah, that's what made him so, one of the things that made him so great is that he was pioneering these, what he was doing. He was one of the first to do a lot of the things he was doing and the way that he was doing it. So you can only imagine how like scary that must have been. And I think those words right there in that quote, if you've done the best you can, I bet you he said those words to himself many times in the theater, right? When they're debuting whatever it is. And he's probably telling himself, well, you've done everything you can. So don't worry about it. It's not going to make it any better than it is. Like it's as good as it's going to get. And if they don't like it, they don't like it.
And like the crazy thing is, because a lot of people, not everybody is completely obsessed with Walt like we are, but a lot of people, when they look at successful people, they think like, that they came from money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that they were handed certain things like on a golden spoon and stuff. But what I love about Walt is
it's easy to assume that
he had nothing, and he failed multiple times.
Over and over and over.
Yeah,
and over.
and he kept going. And I think that's what helps me fall in love with Walt and seeing his, not just like his work ethic, but seeing his vision.
Absolutely.
And that's why so many people, they love Disney, because of everything that he had, such a great foundation that he built it all upon.
Yeah, his passion for people. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's always going to be horror stories about anybody, especially somebody in the public eye like that. But you had some cool quotes.
Oh yeah, now I can read my 2 quotes. Okay, so guys, I have 2 favorite quotes, because one has always been for Disneyland, because Disneyland is a special place in my heart. But the other one is for like my everyday today kind of thing that I would always say. So my first one is, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world. And if that isn't 100% true.
It is. I love that one.
Right? Because you think about it. Okay, think about all the changes that are constantly being done to Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland's
all the parks. Around
everywhere.
the world, yeah.
Everywhere. And it's like, now we have Star Wars Land. I honestly, like, as a kid, I would have never imagined Star Wars Land. I would have been like,
no, yeah.
Oh,
no
yes. We got Star Tours. There we go. That's good. But like Disney has that imagination, the Imagineers who go beyond that and say, okay, yeah, we had one ride, but why don't we make a whole park for it?
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
It's insane to me. So that's my Disneyland quote. And my second one is, happiness is a state of mind. It's just according to the way you look at things. And I love that, because I'm somebody who always says, I think it's on my Instagram too, where it says like, create your own happiness. It's not something you can find. Like, you have to make your own happiness. And the only way you can do that is by changing your mindset.
Yeah, which is what we talk about. It's like very much at the core of what this podcast is, or at least why we started it, So
really, Walt helped us start this podcast. Oh my God, Walt.
Good job. But we did spend a lot of time at these parks, and I think it's just honestly like trying to get all the coolest stories out in one episode. It's impossible. We're probably going to have others.
Yeah.
But so many good times.
I would love, what, the next one, I would love to see what Dad's point of view during all of this was.
I know. I've got to figure out how to get him on.
Right?
Yeah, that's going to be, I've got to figure out how to make sure he can call in and do that. So I've got a lot of work to figure that out. So, but I will figure it out. And I did read that Zencastr, what we're using to record our podcast, is going to make that like an available feature eventually. So
yes, excited. So we're going to start popcorn calling, y'all.
I think it'll be cool. But
So Nick, what is your first story?
I was gonna share the one that I wrote there, but since you don't even remember that, I'm just gonna move on. One of my favorite things. What? Go ahead.
No, say it, because the listeners don't know. Maybe Alyssa would remember that. I don't know.
Well, it was just kind of a memory that I had. Like, if you've been to Disneyland, over by the Matterhorn and in between the Matterhorn, I should say, and the what was that? It was like a food place, but then they had that stage that came out from underneath the ground. if you never seen it, there's an episode on Full House.
Oh, that's where they do the Star Wars show now.
Yeah. So there's a name for that place. But it was in between that and like the Autopia cars and not the Autopia cars, but the submarines. Yeah. And
now it's like Finding Nemo, I think, or something like that.
Well, that whole area, when I was growing up, every night was like where all the punk rockers hung out, the gothic people. Like it was, I don't know, it's just an interesting thing. And I remember walking through that section and always just smelling different smells and just seeing like the strangest of like hairdos and just people, it was interesting. And then growing up, kind of in being in that place where I was like kind of like a punk rocker, right? And then going there and being a part of that scene, and it was just different. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. And I don't know why I brought that up. It was a memory that popped into my head when I was typing into the forum. So I just thought it was pretty crazy.
Well, Nick and I spoke a little bit about that. He's like, don't you remember that? And guys, I think I always fell asleep at like 8 p.m. Like 7 to 8, I was out in the stroller.
Because we were always pushing you around in the stroller.
Guys, I was in a stroller. How old? I was in a stroller until I was 9 years old because I was so lazy to walk. Well, mainly because I still fit in the stroller. That was it.
Yeah, she was tiny, so she could play it off. But she had her blankie.
Yes.
In Disneyland. That thing probably collected so many germs.
I sucked my thumb.
So many germs.
I remember Mom had me sit in the stroller and she would put food behind my back because at that time you couldn't bring food into the park. You can bring water. That was it. We weren't technically allowed to bring food in. But Mom would make sandwiches or like bring chips and stuff. And she would have me sit so I would lean forward. She put all the food behind me and I would lean back on the food in the stroller so that we could get it in.
Oh, goodness.
I remember that because Dad was complaining. He's like, well, she's going to smash the sandwiches. And Mom was like, no, it's going to be fine. Audrey, just don't move back all the way. And so I was like kind of stiff, making it look like I was comfortable in the wheelchair or in the stroller.
Goodness. Wow. Yeah, I don't remember being pushed around in a stroller.
Well, that's because you were the oldest. Alyssa came and kicked you out of it.
Yeah. I don't even remember when I was little, when I was little enough to be in a stroller, but
I mean,
anyways.
I know I was till 9.
That's a long time.
They used to call me what? 4 feet Audrey?
Courtney wanted to be on the podcast. She came in, she wanted to be on the podcast.
Come on in, Courtney.
Nope, she ran away quickly. God bless that woman though, huh? She's just doing such a great job managing everything here at the house while I'm working all day and then going, okay, I'm going to podcast land. She's like, okay.
It's probably her break from you. No, I'm joking. She misses
not yet.
You.
Not yet. But one of my other favorite things that I remember going to Disneyland was my parents, Mom and Dad always let us take like friends, and it was literally we get to the park, we would kind of talk about, hey, this is where we're going to meet for lunch and this is where we're going to meet for dinner. Mm-hmm. And then Mom and Dad would just be like, okay, just meet us here if you want to eat and we'll pay for it for lunch and dinner, or if you just want to survive on your own, then don't meet us to eat. And it was fun because we would just go run around and just have a good time because, and that's, like I said, we, in a sense, like really kind of grew up there. I mean, a big portion of my life was spent there, and it was just cool place to hang out. We really got to know the ins and outs of the park and stuff. And I just always loved taking new friends there that didn't know it as well as I did, because I could do things to really help try to make their experience like more magical. Mm-hmm. And that makes me think of a really cool story. I remember going with, you remember Ryan Bromwich? I raced dirt bike. He raced dirt bikes. He was always older than me. And
was he really tall?
He was a lot cooler than I was. I don't know if he was really tall, but maybe he was tall.
I was short, so everybody was tall to me.
Remember when we went racing? We always went racing with him. He was the one that really got like us, or like we met. I don't know how. He was racing before I started racing dirt bikes, and he was racing 125s when I was racing 80s. Remember?
I have like this image in my head, but I don't know. Did he have like blonde hair?
Yeah, and it was like spiked all around. He was a
Yeah.
really cool dude.
Was his gear
Okay.
red?
Probably he had like different color gear. But
Okay. Maybe that's
well,
what I'm
anyways,
thinking.
I went with him and a bunch of other of our other friends, and I remember like we're walking down Main Street, kind of like you're going into Tomorrowland, right? And there's this dude sweeping up stuff, like one of the people that, and they have a lot of those people that work there, just sweeping up trash off the ground and stuff and keeping the place clean.
Sure.
And I had been so many times, and I don't know how old I was at this time. It had to have been a teenager, that I knew what was going to happen, right? And he didn't know, and I don't think some of my other friends knew either. And I was like, "Hey, let's go this way." We had a plan, and I was like, "Real quick though, let's go over here." And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Just let's just go down this way." And I followed him because I knew that guy was actually not just a custodian guy. He was actually on his way to go perform. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, Audrey, the Trash Can Drummers.
Yes.
Okay, well, I knew he was one of them, right? And so we followed him, and I remember them, like my friends being like, "That's crazy! Like, why are we doing this?" And then when he sat down and started like doing his little thing with the drumming, they're like, "What the heck? This is crazy! How did you know that?" And then the two other guys showed up, because there's three of them, and they all start drumming, and they got their full show. And I just remember the look on his face, on Ryan's face, just like, "What the heck, dude?" Like, it blew his mind, right? Like, to him, he was just like, "You've got to be kidding me that this is happening right now. Like, how is this happening?" And you have to keep in mind too, this is when we just got there, right? Because we're just now walking down Main Street,
Yeah.
right? So my friends that haven't spent a lot of time there, or maybe had never been there before, I can't recall exactly, but just imagine them taking all this in, right? Like, just walking into Disneyland for the first time, it's got to be a magical experience for somebody that's never been. And then I'm like, "Hey, let's go this way." Instead of going to the castle, let's go this way. And all of a sudden the show happens, right? He was just looking at me like, "You're crazy. This is insane." It was just super cool. And I loved that I could do stuff like that with people that had never been, or that weren't as familiar with it as we were. It made it really fun for me. And it made it, I felt like I could give them more in an 8-hour period than if they had gone without me.
It's like, I love bringing people who maybe don't know as much, or know how to work the line system and things like that, because I want to give them the same experience that I had my entire life, but I have to squeeze it into like an 8-hour period.
Yes, that's really what it is. Yeah, you actually put it really well. Like, I think that's exactly what it is. You're trying so hard. You want them to feel that joy that you had over the years, and you want to pack it all in, and they're just like, they're probably like overloaded,
Yeah. And that's like, you have to find the balance with it too whenever you bring someone new, because it's like, you don't want to scare them away or exhaust them of Disney, but just like, you got to pick out your top priorities of things that you want to show in Disney.
Yeah, and that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. Because trying to do everything you want to do in Disneyland in one day is impossible anyway. So,
well, I mean, growing up, you had way more I guess you didn't have like a leash when we went to Disneyland, because Mom and Dad let you go off with your friends because you were the oldest, and I was the baby, so I was always with Mom or Dad. But okay, so the story that I started to tell you, and then Nick told me not to wait until we got onto podcast land.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, because I did cut her off like big time. Because I know on the last episode we talked about how I always cut her off, and I'm going to work on that.
And there we go. But he did it in good sense. It was for the podcast, guys.
I did it. Yeah, I did it for Podcast Land, because I'm like, let's take that to Podcast Land with us.
So it was a trip, Mom and Dad, and you got to bring, because Mom got like free tickets to Disneyland. Like, I think it was because we had so many annual passes for like a consecutive amount of years that she got like, I think it was like,
oh yeah, she probably got all kinds of free stuff just for spending so much money there.
Yeah, like she literally got 2 admission tickets per annual pass. That's what I remember. Because you brought 2 friends, Alyssa brought one of her friends, and then I brought one friend, and then we had 2 additional tickets that we would use later on.
Okay.
And we stayed, remember the hotel that was like 2 stories tall and had like the loft bedroom?
Yeah, the Residence Inn.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, the Residence Inn. you got your own room or something like that with your friends, and then me. No, it wasn't at the Residence Inn. It was somewhere else. I lied. But you locked Dad out of the hotel room, and he was like in his underwear, and he was like really pissed off at you guys because you kept laughing.
Oh, yes, that was so funny. And that
Yes.
wasn't at the Residence Inn. You're right. It was at a different hotel. And
Mhm.
I do remember him getting really upset. But I was making Mom laugh so hard she was practically peeing herself.
Yeah. Because I remember, because I was almost having to share. So I brought my friend Corbin. He was like my best friend, and we were in elementary school, and like he was technically like my first boyfriend ever. And Mom was obsessed with Corbin. Like Mom wanted me and Corbin to get married. She loved Corbin so much.
She
So,
did?
yeah,
I'm trying to remember this Corbin kid, but
he had glasses. He sort of had blonde hair.
the name sounds really familiar. So
I'm like, you have to. Like, I remember we all shared the hotel room because Alessa brought her friend, which was a girl, obviously, and then Corbin was a boy, and Mom was like trying to say like meet him and I can share a bed, and I just felt so weird with it, and I talked to Mom like outside of the room, and I was like, I don't want to share a bed with him. I was like, he's a boy, and this and that, and so Mom had to call in like a rollerboy bed. We had to pay extra for it. And Dad was upset about it, but I was like, I'll sleep on the floor. I don't want to sleep with anybody. So, anyways, it was that visit. So remember that visit with your friends locking Dad out. So
I remember Dad, getting upset. That was funny.
You guys went off and did your thing, and it was me. I think Dad went off with Alessa and her friend, and it was me, Mom, and Corbin. We went to the Golden Horseshoe.
How old are you here? Because I don't. I was probably what? Was I driving?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. I think I was maybe like 10.
Okay.
Maybe 10. Maybe possibly 9. I was in the 5th grade.
Yeah, that's 10.
Okay. So we went to the Golden Horseshoe because Mom wanted to kind of relax.
Golden Horseshoe, like what is that? People, not everybody knows what that is.
So the Golden Horseshoe is, well, technically it's a restaurant, and they have the best sundaes there. But
it's like a saloon. It's like an old school saloon, but it's real big.
So it's 2 stories. You can sit up top, and they have a real small stage that they do comedic shows. I don't think they do a different show now. It's not Billy Hill and the Hillbillies anymore. It's something else.
That was the best, hands down.
Yeah. So that's who we went to go see. It was Billy Hill and the Hillbillies, and it's like these cowboy gun shooting, rootin' tootin' cowboys, hillbillies. They put on like a comedy show, and it's got music in it. People stand up and dance. They call on people in the audience, and it's a lot of fun. It's also a great spot to just sit down if you're really hot and it's in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, and relax, get a chili dog.
Exactly. So we went, and we were just hanging out because I think Dad was coming back with Alessa and her friends because they wanted to do a ride and we wanted to watch the show. So me and Corbin, it's 2 stories tall, and they have stairs, and it's like a big staircase. And so him and I, being 10-year-olds, we're like racing up and down these stairs. And he slipped and fell from the very top step all the way down to the bottom on his back, just like do all the way down. And so he was trying. I felt so bad for Corbin because he was trying so hard not to cry, but he couldn't breathe. So of course, like, you're gonna cry, and Disney paramedics came, and he went in the wheelchair. Everything. We had to go to the nurse's office. Yeah, I mean, he was fine, but he definitely had some like bad bruising on his back.
I don't think it's a good idea for you to take dudes to Disneyland.
Oh, let's tell the favorite one, Nick, and when we got kicked
because
out.
I do have another story that I think, is worth sharing with our listeners. Because that's probably that was one of the most epic like things that's ever happened to me at Disneyland.
And you know what is so sad is Alessa. Okay, go on with you tell the story, and then I'm going to say something follow up.
No, let's go ahead and say it now. It sounds good.
Okay, so this story, guys, it's definitely one of the books, but what sucks is that this story completely overshadowed the night that my sister was proposed to by her husband.
That was the same night?
It was the same night.
Oh my gosh. Now that sucks.
That sucks. Yeah. And because the fireworks didn't go off because it was too windy for it. So he wasn't able to propose after the fireworks. but the workers, he went up and told some of the workers, like, hey, you know, I was going to propose to my girlfriend and all this stuff. And they were like,
yeah, he did a really good job. He did it classy. He still made it fun and exciting. And I know what it's like to be that guy. Like, you're nervous and he already was committed to getting it done. And he's like, I'm not going to not do it. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, it's going to happen. Fireworks or not, I'm doing it. And I'm going to make it as special as I can with what I've got. So good job, Ryan. Yeah. It's very resourceful of you. You did a good job. I'm sorry that I didn't remember that was the same night that we had all gotten kicked out of Disneyland.
So it was afterwards.
So, and now I think it's important I tell a story, because now everybody knows how it ends already, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, that was the only time that I've gotten kicked out of Disneyland. So,
me too.
Well, before I tell the story, I guess I've got to go back. Okay, so, and that's one of my favorite things about Podcast Land. It's easy to go back, but we're gonna go back, and I'm gonna take you back to when I was probably started at the age of, I don't know, it was probably high school, right? I would guess it was high school. And it wasn't really me, it was my friends that were.
Oh, you did that in high school?
Yeah.
I didn't know this, folks. I did not know this.
Why? What were you thinking? You thought I was doing it like a lot later?
Yeah, I thought you had done it like just recently.
Well, we did. My friends did do it just recently.
I was so pissed.
At that time. They did, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been thinking about it, probably. But anyways, it became a very common thing, okay, especially with my group of friends. And just so you know, like, I had friends that also spent a lot of time at Disneyland, and that we also spent a lot of time at Disneyland together growing up, right? So had a group of friends there that, that we just always went to Disneyland. It's like our thing to do. And even when I was in the band and stuff, we would always go. Remember, we would go to Disneyland. We did all kinds of stuff, but we always went to Disneyland. Anyway, so it was a cool thing to go on these rides. There's a handful of these like older rides that are in Fantasyland. And if you've never been, you're getting in kind of like an old school. It's really nice. It's not like rickety and stuff. Like, they keep it all up real nice. So I hate to downplay how good it really is, but you get into these rides, you just sit in like a little cart that, that holds 4 people. And you're just sitting down, and there's this little bar that comes down, right? And that little bar is the only thing that's holding you in, because the ride doesn't do anything, right? It just moves you left to right as you move through. There's no drops. There's no it's not like a roller coaster, right? It's just a little cart that just pulls you through the ride, and you're looking at and they have rides like Snow White, Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, right? And they're all kind of the same thing. And one of the things that my friends enjoyed doing when we would go is getting off of the ride while it's moving, and then stealing little props from the ride. Okay. And I know, like, saying it now, it sounds really bad, but at the time it was almost like we were convinced that it was supposed to happen, because we always found it odd that the things that you would steal were almost designed to be taken. And I know that was probably a bad perspective to have, but the problem is that what made it so convincing was that my friends did it so often and nothing ever happened, that they started to really believe, like, wow, this is cool. Like, we can do this. It's normal. And there's things it was easy. All you do is put a backpack down on your lap, and man, I hope I'm not describing this and then someone goes and tries it, because you're going to get in trouble.
They can't do it now.
Okay. Yeah. You can't do it anymore. I think it's all like glued down now, right?
No, it's a hologram.
Oh, okay. Well, that's only one thing. The other thing that we used to grab, there was also a bow tie off of the donkey, and it was Velcroed. So, and then there were a couple items you can go grab on these rides. So that was just one. Okay. That was the most obvious.
You're about to hear the ending of this story. Don't try it.
That was the obvious, that was the most obvious one, right? That people were probably like, oh my God, yeah, I do want that apple. Right. But so you'd get on the ride, you'd have a backpack. I mean, we always had backpacks going, right? Especially when you're like younger, teenager or whatever, you got a backpack, and you set your backpack down on your lap. And so when the bar comes down, it doesn't come down all the way down. It just hits your bag. And the people that are working the ride, they don't care, right? They work at Disneyland, happiest place on earth. You're happy. They're happy. You're on vacation, right? They're working, and everyone's smiling. No big deal. They're not suspecting a thing, plus you paid like $800 to be there, right? So you get on the ride. normal worker. They're just like, okay, they put the bar down and it doesn't go all the way down. They don't care. And then as you go through the ride, there was a certain spot, and I'm talking about, let's use, for example, this one's Snow White, okay? Because you brought up the apple. There's a part on the ride where the witch comes out as like the old lady, and she like kind of pops out, like, I don't know, is it like on a boat or something where she pops out? But she pops out and she's got this red apple, and the apple is like painted a certain way under the black lights. I mean, it looks like really cool. You're like, man, that's pretty cool. And you could before that part literally move your backpack off of your lap, slide yourself out of the vehicle that you're in, and the ride's not moving very fast, so you're kind of like maybe like a light jog, and you can just run up there, and as soon as she popped out of the little thing with the apple in her hand, you just grab the apple, slide back into the ride, put it in your backpack, and then at the end of the ride, get off, walk away, and go, check it out, I got a cool apple from Snow White.
Sounds so simple.
Yeah. Another thing you could do is on Pinocchio, same thing, same drill. And there's a part where like the boys are turning into donkeys, and there's one of the donkeys, he's got his shirt on and a bow tie, and it's like a neon green bow tie. I still have this bow tie, by the way. I still have this.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous you have it and I don't have anything.
I still have the bow tie. And you could jump off the ride, same thing, reach through the bars, because he was in a box with bars. And you could just grab the bow tie, and it was Velcroed on. Like, again, why would you do that? But I guess the thought was no one's going to jump off the ride. So I get that. But in our minds, we were like, yeah, it's meant to be taken. So now that you've got the background, right? We did this, and my friends did this often, and it was like cool. It was like fun. Like, and it was easy. Right. And it was kind of like the first thing you do when you go to Disneyland. Like, let's get that done. Like, let's do the most thrilling, fun thing. And then, all right, let's go have fun. And, Audrie, I don't remember your boyfriend's name at the time, but he was a good kid, right? I mean, he seemed like a decent dude.
Yeah, his name was Michael Myers.
Okay, Mike Myers. So the time I got Mike Myers kicked out of Disneyland, should have started the story off that way. More people would have been like, "What?" So we went to Disneyland, and I don't remember, Audrie. It was like afternoon. So it's not like we went there and like, hey, let's do this. But I had been talking about what we were doing to you and your boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. Probably days leading up to it too. Probably not even just that day. But I had been talking to him about like, yeah, it's really cool. It's fun. And I think I had planned on doing it anyway, right? Like, just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to probably grab something. But it was when he was like, I want to do it. Like, I want to get it, right?
I think he was more so like you told him, and he was like, this is Audrey's brother. Like, I'm going to do it too. Like, I got to do it. I think he kind of
something like that. Yeah, because I remember I had planned on doing it, and he was like, no, I want to do it. And I was like, dang, I was like, all right, cool, right? And that's probably why he was like, hell yeah, I'm in. I was probably like, I'm buying you a cheeseburger after this, boy. Yeah. But I remember him just being super stoked about it. I remember him being like jacked about it. Like he was like, yeah, this is, like, because to me, it wasn't that exciting anymore. Right. So at that time, I was kind of like, okay, like, calm down. Like, it's not that cool. But I was actually excited too at the same time that he was excited, because I'm like, yeah, I remember I was really pumped about it the first time. Right. So I'm thinking like, all right, so it'll be fun for him. You know what I mean? No big deal. So we get on the ride. Yeah. And we get on, and was it Snow White that we did it on?
It was Snow White.
Okay. It was Snow White. So we get on Snow White, and we're pumped about it. And I think Audrey, you went on, and who was with us? Dad?
No, okay. We all went on as a family, but you, Courtney, me, and Michael.
Yeah, Courtney was with, okay.
We rode together. And Courtney, so we get on the ride, and Courtney puts her backpack down right on her lap, just like you said. Yeah. And the guy, I have a feeling like the guy just had a sense. He just knew. And he looked at Courtney. He's like, you got to put your backpack on the floor.
Oh, that's when we should have stopped. So that was red flag number one. How did I not catch that? You should have tapped me on the shoulder and been like, hey, that's a bad idea.
Well, the ride was like, we started going and we turned back. Or no, you guys were in front of us. Michael and I were behind you. And Courtney turned around and she goes, oh, we can't do it. He made me move the backpack. But Michael was so freaking skinny, and
he could still get out.
That he slid out. Guys, this kid was like a size maybe a size 2 in girls' pants. He was so
Yeah,
skinny.
I forgot about that detail. So that's what happens. Man, I'm so glad you have such a good memory because I did not remember any of that.
Because
Sorry
I
about
saw
the dogs.
him, I saw him like trying to wiggle out because I think he was just so determined. And when I
I
sat down in
remember
the
this
chair,
now.
I
He
didn't
was
put
ambitious.
I didn't sit when they put the bar down. My back wasn't all the way in the seat, so I was like a little bit forward, like leaned forward, because I was like pretending I was talking to Courtney or something.
Oh
So
my
when we had the
gosh.
bar down, the guy didn't notice, and that's how he was. I couldn't even get out of that bar, and when he did
That's
get out,
insane.
I was like, "How the heck?" Like in my head, I'm like, "How the heck did you slide out of that?"
I just remember when it finally was time because he was like getting really nervous about it. And again, me, I'm like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. You're going to get your little apple and you're like, that was cool. Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on. But I was also kind of feeding off his energy too. I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. So I remember when it was coming time for him to get out because he didn't know when to get out. He's like, tell me when to get out. And I was like, okay, hold on. I'll tell you. And then I was like, okay, now. And just remember him getting out. I don't remember how he got out, but I remember getting out quickly. That's probably why I don't remember him having to squeeze out because he did it so quickly.
He slid out on the side because he had one leg out already.
So I remember him getting out, running over there. I mean, perfectly, grabbing the apple, running back, getting into the ride. And I'm like, dude, awesome. Good job. Right. That was great. And then how long was it? Was it immediately
Dude,
that
no.
they shut the ride down? Because the ride stopped. And that's when I was like, oh, crap. And then when all the lights came on, right, that's when we knew, okay, this is bad. And wasn't somebody else in our family on another ride, on the same ride with us, though, and the lights came on and they had to get off too?
Yeah.
Or did they make it through the ride?
It was.
And Dad, right? And Dad?
Yeah, it was a whole family.
We'll have to confirm that with them because they had to get off the ride too, right? So they're probably like, man, what happened, man? The ride shut down. And I was probably just like, man, I have no idea. This is crazy, right? And probably at that time, I probably still wasn't even thinking that it was us.
We know what happened was, okay, I remember this part. Okay, so the family was on the ride. Okay, so he slid out. He got the apple. The second he got back to the car, he couldn't get in. So the lights were still off, and he's like, I can't get in. So he was kind of like sitting on top of the bar, and immediately, as soon as he sat back down in the cart, that's when the ride stopped and the lights came on.
Oh my god!
Because he was out
so bad.
He was out of the cart, like walking around, and we were all in the cart, waiting for them to unlock it for us. And but what they did was that they escorted everybody else off the entire ride. We were the last ones to be escorted off.
That's when they walked us out from that point of the park, which is like the walk of shame because it's far. That's deep in the park, yo. Like we had to walk through Fantasyland, through the castle, all the way down Main Street. Like they didn't let us get on one of the little cars or none of that.
4 security guards.
And they were all pissed. They were all pissed. Probably security guards have been working there since Walt hired them when they were probably 12 years old, and they're, super dedicated to the park. And then, here's us like, oh yeah, we love Disney too, but we like to steal. Like that was terrible. It was bad.
But the worst was like, honestly, I think that if you weren't there, I probably would have had like a panic attack and cried. But because I had like my big brother, I was like, okay, I'm not in this alone. Like Nick's going to handle it. Nick's going to talk his way out of it. Like,
yeah, you probably did think I was going to talk my way out of it. Nope. We walked our happy asses right out that gate.
And when we walked off of the ride, you see like Dad and Elaine and Brittany. And they're like, what's going on? And we're like,
what happened? Why did the ride shut down? Why is everybody getting walked off? And why are you guys getting walked off with police?
And we're like being walked down while we're trying to explain it to my dad. Dad, we stole.
Yeah, we're like, just walk and act normal. It already looks bad that we're being walked out by police. Yeah.
It was so bad. So yeah, we got escorted out. We had to hang out in downtown Disney because everybody else wanted to go see not the fireworks. I think it was, no, I think they just wanted to stay there till like midnight or something like that. That's what it was. So we hung out in
can't believe it. And we were laughing though when we finally got out of the park and like made it through the embarrassment.
Yeah,
that was in that moment from the time we got walked out to the time we finally made it out of the gates and didn't have a police officer with us anymore. We finally started laughing about it, right? And I think Dad finally eventually figured it out and kind of saw the humor in it too, And I think I was probably giving your boyfriend props at the time. Like, dude, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your time at Disneyland, but you got it done. I mean,
Yeah,
thought
you
you didn't
kept
get to
saying, you're like,
keep
I'm
the
so
apple.
sorry.
Didn't
And
he ask, do I get to keep it? Didn't he ask him that? And they were
Yeah.
like, no.
Oh, he was just a very sarcastic, pushing the line kind of guy. And I remember the lady who was like walking with us with the security guards. I don't remember if you remember her, but she was like yelling at him. She was saying, she's like, this is grand theft. She was going hardcore, and he would sit there because she said this is grand theft or something like that. And he goes, what? He was like, it's a styrofoam apple being painted. He was like, I'll make you one.
It
And
was
he was
plastic.
Like, yeah, like he kept like just kind of saying like that thing it took you $5 to make that. I'll pay you the $5. Like he was being real smart pants with
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
And she was just like, I can arrest you for all this stuff and I'll have you put in jail and you could do prison time for this. This is stealing. And she was really going in hard on him. And then that's when he finally was like, well, do I get to keep it? And she just like, the look on her face was like, just get the heck out of my park.
Yeah. But think about it now. Mike Myers has a really cool story to tell about how he got kicked out of Disneyland.
Yep.
And he probably blames it entirely on me.
He's like, don't go near that family.
If he ever listens to this, I'm sorry about that, man. That was not the intention. Like, obviously, if I thought at all that you were going to get in any trouble, I would not have let you do it. So, Courtney did her part trying to call it off, right?
Yeah,
Courtney
she did
her part.
She was like, guys, the backpack.
She was like, yeah, she immediately was like, retreat, like red flag, like this isn't happening. And I know how Courtney is. She's smart. She's very intuitive when it comes to that stuff. And I was probably like, nah, he's good.
Yeah, like, because he got like halfway out and then he was like, no, I could slip out. And then that's when you were like, oh, you can? Okay, I'll tell you when to go. Like,
yes.
Oh, gosh.
Good times.
That's our Disneyland story, guys. That's one of them. One of the many.
Yeah, one of the many. We've got to get, I'll figure it out. I got to figure it out, guys. I'm sorry. I'm slacking there in that department. There's just so many different ways to do it. I need like an simple, easy way. So if you get bored and you're like, man, Nick needs a really easy, affordable way to have people call into the podcast. Take a look around. Let me know, because once I figure that out, we can have it's going to be awesome because we can really get some cool stories with some cool family members and all that jazz. But for now, you get us, which is cool, right? Which is cool. And if I ever get Audrie to move to Texas, then we'll have a YouTube channel.
There you go.
Be even better.
Then you guys can see me in my quarantine hair all the time.
Yeah. And then that'll be even more awesome because then we'll be talking about all kinds of different stuff. Who knows? But I've got so many stories, man, from Disneyland, awesome stories. And honestly, I'm glad we were able to talk through the stories without, because I thought it was going to be hard because so much of the stories, what made it magical was Mom.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I did a presentation when I worked for DirecTV years ago, and I was a trainer. And we went to, it was like a training summit, right? Where they had all the trainers all kind of meet down in El Segundo, or I forget where we were. No, we were in a site. I think it was the Selmar office. But anyways, one of the things we had to do was present. Sorry about the dogs.
Someone at the door?
It's probably nothing. I had to present like a presentation. I'd put a presentation together that we would, present, we had like 7 or 8 minutes to present, and we were getting graded by all the other trainers and all the other, we had like directors and other people from DirecTV in the room. And we had to pick the topic and we had to create our, like the handouts, like reference material. And we had to create a slide deck, PowerPoint, right? And they wanted us to pick something that we, were passionate about, or something that we knew a lot about and that had a connection to us, right? That was special to us, that we would present on. They didn't want it to just be some random thing. It had to be special. And you had to tell why it was special. Okay. So I didn't know about that second part because they didn't say that, right? They just said, hey, pick something that you're, and I was actually pumped about it. I was like, this is going to be cool. I'm just going to talk about, and what I was going to do, what I did for my presentation was I put together for my handouts, it was a printed map of Disneyland. and it was in color. And I went in and marked a couple different places that I was going to reference and like basically take people through the experience, what Disneyland was for me, like, you know, walking through the tunnel. And then it was really cool. Like I had a really cool presentation put together, and I was excited about it until the guy that went before me. So there was like three or four people that went before me, and there was probably 20 people that had to go through this. And no one had said why they chose it. Right. But then one of the directors at the time kind of stopped after the guy that was just before me. And he goes, I want to hear from each of you why you chose what you chose. He's like, none of you have done that.
Oh, and instantly
right?
your heart dropped.
Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be tough, you know? And so I had to hand out my handouts and stuff like that. And I was a lot younger too. So this was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And I get up there and they're like, so tell us why you chose this. And I couldn't do it. Like I broke, like I started crying. It was super hard. Like I couldn't even,
like you couldn't even get a word out.
Well, and think about and remember this too. So I'm walking up to do my presentation, and on the screen for my opener is a picture of Mickey and Minnie in front of the castle.
Uh-huh.
And it was just weird. Like I was like, man, I got to talk about Mom. I got to talk about Disneyland and why I chose it. And I did. I got through it. I told them, I said, I chose this because this Disneyland is more than just a place to go hang out and have fun for me and my family. Disneyland is like, how do I say it? Instead of going to like Mom's gravesite,
yes,
me and my family would much rather go to Disneyland.
Yep.
Instead of going to Mom's gravesite and be reminded that she's not with us, we'd much rather go experience the place where she was with us and celebrate the life we did have with her. And I was able to get through that. I obviously would summarize that way more because I was hurting. Like I couldn't like stop crying. It was like super embarrassing, and it was rough. And I ended up at the end of it, you know, did okay, right? Got through it. But I think about that because when I was thinking about us talking about this, I was like, oh my God, like we got to be careful. I don't want to freaking, you know,
podcast. But that's how like it's hard to explain it to people who it's like how do I say this without coming off as a jerk? Like we're not just like Disney fanatics where it's like, oh, I love everything Disney and you know, I love Walt's vision, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I love all those things, but I love Disney because of Mom. And like you said, I to be honest, I haven't been to Mom's gravesite probably since she was, you know, since she passed. When I go to Disneyland, that's where I go to remember her.
That's what I do. And I think we all are that way, right? And Courtney understands that, you know, because I'm like, if it was up to me, I'd do Disney Vacation every year.
Yeah.
Because there's just something and
it's like, it's insane. Is it okay? Tell me this doesn't happen. Well, I'm sure it happens to you. As soon as you walk into those gates, right? Like as soon as I come through the tunnels, right?
Yeah.
There's the land today of tomorrow, whatever, you know. I walk in, and especially if I'm with someone new, it's like, oh yeah, right here, this is where we used to get our annual passes. And my mom, we had the Indiana Jones pass, and over here, Mom would get me popcorn from that popcorn stand right there.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this used to be this, and you know, and everything. When I look at, especially the Mickey, for me, it's the Mickey Mouse movie theater, the black and white one. Like I said, Mom was the one who took me in there. She was the one who would take me in there to like cool down and take a nap.
Yeah, she knew like this is a good place to go during the middle of the day. No one's going to be checking it out. That place was only hopping at the very beginning of the day or at the end. So,
but it's like when I look at those things, it's like a small movie reel that's playing off, and like the Indian that's on Main Street. You know, there's a photo of me and Mom Mom's next to me, and I'm like hanging off of the Indian.
Yeah,
but it's like a movie reel that like plays in my head where so I look at something and I see a memory of her.
And that's how I am with all things Disney, but nothing quite like Disneyland does it. You know, Disneyland is just, it's a special place for us in a way that really I don't want other people to understand, because it actually is heartbreaking, but it's cool that we have that place, right? That we have a place that we can go to, because a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that for, people that they've lost. And we're fortunate to have that. We're fortunate to have a place that we can do that. And I swear, if we could get the whole family together to do like a week there, and man, that would be awesome. Do you remember like staying at the Residence Inn and like all the family like playing poker, like everyone hanging out late and just having a good time and getting up the next morning and going to Disneyland, and it was just always just so much fun. And it was always Mom's like happiest place. She loved being there.
And it was amazing because we would go as a family, right? But then everybody disperses and then gathers back up at the middle of the day, breaks apart again, and then we all come back again. We group back together for dinner in the nighttime.
And we would see each other too.
You're walking
throughout the day. And I used to love that when I would see Mom and Dad and I'm with my friends. And I'll never forget being on, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to talk about it. Too hard. So, sorry. I knew I was going to mess it up. But it was just cool being there and like walking around and like even just seeing your friends and family and stuff. And you're like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh yeah, we went to this ride and we just went and checked out this show or whatever,
Especially when Fast Passes came out, I'd trade Fast Passes with.
Oh yes, Fast Pass was huge when it first came out.
Oh, once you learned how to work the Fast Pass system, like
game over.
It was it, and that's why I tell people.
And they've tightened that up a lot now, right? So now you can't.
Now it's like you can't go back and forth between the parks. It's like if you get a Fast Pass in Disneyland, you can only get one Fast Pass in California.
But we had it freaking figured out. So
we had it down to like
cool.
a T. I'm like, it's a lot of walking, but it was worth it.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome. So much fun. Tom Sawyer Island. You know what? Still to this day, my favorite show is Fantasmic. Nothing beats it. Even the new version. I've watched the new version. I haven't got to see it live, but I've watched it on YouTube. Freaking incredible. Like that show.
I waited so long for that. When I saw that, I was like, I wouldn't expect anything less from Disney.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the new one. But that was always my favorite show.
It's crazy now because like seeing us growing up with it, right? Okay, so like and it's really sad. I think I only got to see. So Mom always wanted me to stay awake for Fantasmic, like all the time. Mom wanted to share the same joy that she got with me. Right?
Just like I am with my kids. Yeah, to this day, I'm like, you better open your eyes. This is the most incredible show ever. And
she tried it every single time. I think I only did it one time with her, but I'm like, at least I had that one time,
which is awesome. It's awesome, and you can still watch it and still remember how she felt when she watched it, exactly. Which is cool because that we all have that in us. We all have that in us where we're just like, oh my god, like it's weird how people would look. Most normal people would look at us and go, "You're freaking weird about Disney." Yeah,
you're a fanatic, and it's like,
especially Disneyland. Yeah, everything about Disneyland, the smells. I mean, that was where I took Courtney for our very first date was Disneyland. It was the first time I ever held her hand, and I loved it. I loved that I was doing it at Disneyland because it was the closest thing that I had to like introducing her to like Mom, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty magical place.
I'm trying really hard not to cry right now.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean for it to get like this deep, but hey, it's good. I think, it's good to talk about that stuff. It's cool. There's a lot of people that go through that experience loss. And there's people that need to hear from people like us, that it's okay to be like, oh, this is hard. This is hard to talk about, or this is hard, but it's okay to visit those places because they're special. They're special places, and it was so cool.
I remember seeing I believe it was I can't remember if it was the 50th or the 55th. I know it had to be the 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like the first year that Disney kind of took that turn of like, okay, it's the 50th anniversary. This is a big anniversary. Let's do like an amazing fireworks show that's like never been done before, you know?
Yeah, like
And that,
like out of the world. I know exactly what you're talking about.
so that was the very first fireworks show that Disney did, where they had fireworks going off from each land. So it would like be Pirates of the Caribbean, and there were fireworks and a show going off from, Frontierland and things like that. Because then with Tomorrowland, it was Star Tours, and it was like the whole show consumed every small piece of something that built Disney.
Yes.
And I remember I went with I can't remember her name. I went with a friend from high school, and so when I saw that, and Mom's favorite ride was Peter Pan, and it had Peter Pan, and I think I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I still do every time I go to Disneyland. I always have moments where I just tear up, but I'm not, I mean, it's not, I don't know. It's not like it's terrible, because then why would I want to go there? You know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad feeling. It's almost like just being reminded of those magical moments that we got to share with her. And it's cool to be able to just, when you're there, be like, wow, this is cool. Like, I'm experiencing this again. Like, sometimes I feel like almost like I can smell her again. You know what I mean? When I'm there. And it's just, I don't know. Now it might start sounding a little creepy, but you know what I'm talking about. And that's why stuff like that hits us in a weird way when we're there, because so much of our lives were spent there and with Mom. Right? Like, it was just huge. Like, that was her favorite place to take us and to be. And so I think it makes sense that it's our favorite place to go and to be. So, but anyways, yeah, didn't mean to take us there. Yeah. Yep. It's going to be rough. I'm telling you, these Disneyland, we still have so many other stories. I cannot wait to get Dad on to tell. He's got a number of them, but there's one in particular that I think would be a real treat for our listeners. I think everyone in our family would love it, because
which one is it?
I don't know how many people know what actually happened. So I'm not even going to give any little bit right now. I'll tell you about it after we're done recording.
Okay, because I'm wondering if it's the same one.
It probably is. It's a pretty big one. It was when, Mom was around and you were little. Yeah. So.
So it did involve me. Then it's the same one, I think.
it did involve you, yes, in a big way.
I remember this then.
In a big way, yeah.
Well, I don't remember it,
basically, we could say, that, like, you possibly could have died.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay, so I want Dad, though, to tell that story, because he's got the best perspective on that, because he went through it first person. So we tell it's going to be a little different, but that would be a great story to have Dad on for. So, Dad, if you're listening. And Dad, you should be listening. Hopefully you're listening to all of our podcasts by now. But I got to send him. I think if we don't send it to him directly after when every episode comes out, he's not going to listen to it. Seriously. Because he's always working on stuff at the house. So
true. It's on the greenhouse right now.
Yeah. So we'll figure that out. Like I said, I've got to do some homework and figure out how to get some call-ins. And I think I can't wait to do the next episode on, the next time we talk about Disneyland, because I think that's going to be awesome. And,
Disney Part 2?
Yeah. Well, you'll know, because like we talked about, you'll know if we're going to have another Disneyland story time, because the name will be somehow referencing Disney. So, and similar to this one, right? So we're calling this one Grinning Ghosts. And then the next one will probably have, a name to kind of tie it. So you'll know. Okay. So it'll be cool. But yeah, I do have to go make dinner. Barbecue some chicken.
I need to go blow my nose.
Yeah.
I'm like sniffling over here.
Yeah, those allergies kicked in like right towards the end of the episode.
I know. It got real windy outside.
It's weird. Yeah, it kind of happened to me too. It's really strange. But no, Audrey, I enjoyed going down memory lane with you. I'd like to do it more often. I think it was awesome. I think for our listeners, let us know what you thought about it too. And maybe we'll do some more of this on some upcoming episodes. Trying to get us some new listeners too. I've been trying to really just kind of share the podcast with more people. Even people that I work with, just because I'm thinking that everybody's in the same boat. We're all going through this pandemic together. We're all, for me, I'm busy. I'm fortunate that I'm very busy with my company and I'm working. But on the weekends, really, there's nothing to go out and do, right? So I think it's great that we're able to do something and provide a little bit of, even if it's just background noise for our listeners, for our friends and our family. It means a lot to us to be able to be a part of that, for you. So if there's something else you'd like us to talk about, we're always looking to just find new ways to connect with you and really connect with you in podcast land, right? Not just go to podcast land together and, hey, that was fun. Like, we really like to be connected with you. So one of the best ways to do that is through social media, messaging. Just let us know what's going on. Let us know if there's difficult topics you want us to talk about too. We want to provide our perspective really on whatever it is you're looking for a different perspective on. So share that with us.
Yes. We thrive on that.
Big time. And we love all the feedback. We love the love. We're all in this thing together, and it's just nice to be able to come together, be together in podcast land for a little while every week. So
it's my favorite part of the week, guys.
Yeah, it is awesome. So again, thanks to my sis, Alyssa, and Audrie, IE, and Zegan.
She'll always be little Audrie family. To me.
Oh yeah, she is little Audrie. Thanks for that awesome intro. You guys killed it.
Yes, amazing.
Nailed it. And thanks to all of our listeners. Thanks to y'all for listening, for tuning in. Thank you to our family. Thank you, Andy, cousin Andy. She's a rock star.
She's always
her and
pumping us
Alyssa.
up.
Yeah, her and Alyssa are like really pumping us up lately. Like, we need more Stretch It Out podcasts, which is super cool. That's what we love to hear. It makes us feel important. And we
I need that in my life.
We love that, right? We love that. But don't ever forget, what The Rock said, and he didn't make it up, but it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
So, but we remember that always, right?
Yes.
So, but no, we love y'all. We thank y'all so much for always listening in and for all the love that you guys give us all the time. We freaking love doing this. We want to do it for years and years and years to come. So I'm going to go make dinner.
You
don't have anything
dinner,
else?
Nick. No.
Yeah.
Guys, have a great week.
Yeah. Everyone have a good week. Be kind. Please be kind.
Yeah. Correct
Peace.
your perspective.